Are you trying to transition from endurance training to strength training and want to know how? Watch this.
Our next caller is Brandon from Texas.
Brandon, what's happening?
So I'll just get straight to it. Kind of might be a 2-3 part question, but after listening to you guys now, new listener, I think I've kind of might just figured out how you might answer the first question. But long story short, a little bit of background here. Pre-COVID, I was a competitive weightlifter, Olympic weightlifter, so snatch, clean, and jerk. I considered myself pretty strong at the time, snatching 320 plus pounds, clean and jerking 400 plus pounds, decent back squat, bench press, etc. Compete at the national level quite a bit. And then COVID happened. All the gyms in Texas shut down for a long period of time. Fitness is kind of my cure for kind of stress in my work job. So I decided to pick up running, since that was really the only thing I could do during COVID. Had no access to a garage gym. All the gyms were shut down. Weightlifting, powerlifting, CrossFit gyms all across Texas. So got into running. And one of the ways I kind of typically keep myself motivated is I always sign up for some sort of goal, whether it be a weightlifting competition, powerlifting, in this case, half marathon and marathons. So I spent 2 years of COVID running, trained for a full marathon, got COVID, got sick, and then reduced that to a half marathon. And then recently I just did another half marathon trail running. My kind of 2 big questions. One is, all this running, I feel like has really kind of taken a bad turn in terms of my health, at least not by a doctor saying health, but just how I feel in general. I'm more achy. I'm a lot more tighter. I carry a lot more body fat, even though I was running, 40, 50 miles a week. Based on some of the podcasts I've been listening to, I feel like my metabolism has absolutely crashed. So that's kind of the first piece there. The second piece is kind of, I really want to get back into strength training. Since gyms are back open in Texas, I'm really having a hard time taking that step forward. Kind of the mental side of it, going from, putting 400 pounds above my head to struggling to pick up, 200 pounds off the ground, is pretty tough on the mental side of things, starting where I came from. So kind of any advice there, as well as how we could, address that mental side of it, like preparing yourself for what is considered a heavy workout now, even though at one time it was considered like warm-up sets. I think that's kind of the gist of the 2 questions, but that crash metabolism and just negative health effects from 2 years of running. And then how would you suggest kind of getting started again in the strength sports and really tighten up that mental side to get into lifting heavy things off the ground again?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And what you're experiencing is quite common. And yeah, your metabolism did slow down. It became efficient and good at running. So I'm sure you can run really well now. But paring muscle down is kind of part of that process, especially when you go from being as strong as you were to what you're doing now. Your body it changed and adapted. And that's totally normal. Now, what does this mean? Brandon, it means your body can adapt in the other way too, right? You can go back to what you did before. You just got to give it time. So when you get back into the gym, just take your time, go slow, allow your body to adapt. And it's a snowball effect. And what you'll notice is it'll at first you're just going to kind of feel sore, and then the strength will kick in a little bit, and then it'll happen faster. And then it's kind of the snowball effect. And muscle memory, I'm sure you're familiar with that term. You've probably heard it before. It's well documented. It is well documented. If you take your time, you don't overtrain, you cut the running down or eliminate it, and go back to the gym and slowly start the Olympic lifting again and give your body a chance to catch up, you'll be where you were before much faster than you will realize. So, but you got to be patient and give yourself an opportunity, because, what you don't want to do, here's the deal. Don't make perfect be the enemy of better, right? Yeah, it's not perfect right now because you haven't been doing it, but that doesn't mean what you're going to do is better. Isn't better. It's better. And then soon you'll get back to where you were before, and your body will adapt. It's an adaptation machine. So don't worry about that so much. That would be the best piece of advice I give you.
Brandon, how old are you?
I am 31 years old.
Okay, so I just want to comment on your competitive mindset that you got to be careful of. So you're 31 right now. This is about when you're going to start to notice this shit. Matter of fact, this is probably your first example of this. Like approaching your training always with this, I got to compete. I've got to have an event. I've got to PR. I've got to. That's going to lead you down the wrong path, and you're going to run into more issues like this. Next comes injuries, metabolism slowing down. Eventually, one day you will get weaker. Like we don't always just keep getting stronger. So, learning to change your relationship with training and exercise. It's less of a competition and it's more of a dance. And if you don't start to figure that out now, your body will force you to figure it out as you get older. So, this is common. I had lots of clients that they always felt like they needed to have this competition in order to motivate them to go to the gym. And it's a mindset thing. You need to stop looking at your exercise as like there's this end goal that I'm trying to get, and it's a lifelong journey. And part of that is just reframing it like when you train is actually paying more attention to how was my day today? Was I a better person? Was I nicer to my partner? Did I kick ass at work today? Did I sleep better? Like, do I feel better? Like start making the connections to your training, to your overall life, and how it enhances and improves that, and less about how much weight is on the bar, how much closer you are to your marathon time. You've got to break, and that doesn't mean we can't have a marathon. It doesn't mean we can't train for competition. But when you have I can tell by the question that you're this type of person. Justin, I know will have something to contribute because he's like this. I was a little bit like this too. I have an athletic background, and you want to get out of that mindset, or else you're going to find yourself in this trap. It'll just look different next time.
Well, that feeds perfectly into your question of how to get in that mindset, a better mindset towards your strength training, even though you might not have the same weight on there that you used to when you were competitive about your Olympic lifting. You really need to start looking at your long-term health, your holistic health, like how your body is improving overall from, multiple directions. And getting in that place is a tough transition, especially when you're in that competitive, disciplined, athletic mindset. This took me a few years actually to really identify, differently, because you're so strongly identified with this competitive go-getter, and I want to win something, and so to just gradually work on that and really just appreciate the fact of what this is providing your body, how much you can improve your overall sleep, your relationships, your energy levels. Like you can just start transitioning your focus elsewhere instead of winning something.
So I'm going to advise you to do a different program than I think that the guys might. I think typically we would recommend like a MAPS anabolic here, because we're trying to rebuild the metabolism. That's one of the things that we talk about the program that's so great about it, the way it's structured. But I would rather, if you were my client, I'd actually rather see you do performance. And the reason why I'd want you to do performance is because of the mobility days and the emphasis on like the mechanics and the movement. And instead of us being competitive about how much stronger we're getting, I know we're going to be doing some unique exercises that maybe you don't traditionally do that are like in performance. And I would be in your ear constantly about the beauty of the movement and technique. And that's what we're being competitive with. You want to be competitive? Let's be competitive with how much better are you moving this week than you were last week? Yeah. How much further range of motion do you have in your squat compared to the week before? And if you need that competitive drive, just shift it in a different direction instead of always being these feats that you have to pass with the weight or the time.
Well, you probably noticed that in your Olympic lifts, right? Like you just sharpening the technique over and over and over and drilling it. What did that do in terms of once you started stacking weight?
Right, exactly. Because
it's going to improve everything.
Strength kind of plateaus, and then the technique is what really makes you nifty, not really your strength.
Well, Brandon, today's your lucky day because I actually disagree with the program recommendation. Yeah, I think MAPS Performance would be great, but I'm going to recommend MAPS Symmetry because I think having you do squats and presses is going to bring you back to what you used to be able to do. And MAPS Symmetry is going to be so different, you're going to have nothing to compare it to, so you're not going to feel bad about anything. I mean, the first 2 weeks is isometrics. After that, it's all unilateral. And I'm assuming you never really did a lot of unilateral training, so you're not going to have anything to compare it to. It's all going to be new. So you're not going to lift, do a unilateral exercise and be like, oh, I used to do a lot of weight. Like I never really did
address
this.
all underlying, imbalance.
Yeah, and it's so different psychologically.
I'm not against that. I think that's great advice.
We're going to send you both. That's why I said you're lucky, because we already recommended Mass Performance. I'm not going to take that away from you, but I'm going to send you Map Symmetry too. You can choose whichever one you want to pick. I just think doing different resistance training exercises that you've never really done before, you're not going to have anything to compare it to, so you're not going to feel so bad about it, right? It's all new, right? So I've never done this before. I don't know how strong I used to be, but whatever. I'm just going to get better at this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the same advice in a sense, right? That's the same thing that I'm looking for in Mass Performance with him. Is I know that there's going to be movements that he probably doesn't traditionally do. And the same advice though applies for me, regardless if you're doing performance or symmetry, which is make it all about the movement,
the workout.
Yeah. Get rid of the needing to increase the weight on the bar every week. For you, get back into the love of the technique and movement, and let that be the driver. Let that be the thing that you're competitive about.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. That makes perfect sense. I mean, I get stuck in that mindset already. The first thing I did was like, okay, I'm gonna jump on a 5-3-1 program to get my strength back to normal.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm always comparing myself to what I used to lift, and that makes perfect sense.
Now, the cool part about what Sal recommended with symmetry is you'll get to do that at the end of the program.
At the end.
Yep.
So, you discipline yourself to do the things that we're talking about, and then the last phase of symmetry is like one of our favorite parts of that program.
It's the reveal.
Now let's give you a traditional 5x5 and let's see how you express all those movements. So you'll get your opportunity to go put some weight on there, but first do these steps.
Yeah, totally. All right.
Awesome.
All right. And one more thing, Brandon, this comparing yourself to your previous lifts, I get that. And the advice that the guys are giving you, like, really take it seriously, because if you don't, you're going to have to anyway. Like, at some point, you're not going to be as strong as you used to be. At some point, some of us are blessed with old age, and at some point you're going to hit 40 and 50. And if I always compared myself to my best, I'm 43 now, and if I compare myself to my best lifts, and I keep doing that, I'm going to hurt myself. It's not going to work anymore. So you have to change the mentality, and it's better to do it now than it is when you're forced.
As long as you're better than all your friends that are your age.
Yeah, that's the key right there.
That's what I'm competitive with.
Look around at your friends. They're all fat.
That's not a difficult challenge. I'm already there. We're good.
All right, Brandon. Thanks for calling in, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You got it.
I actually almost forget we have symmetry because it's so brand new.
I mean, we're not supposed to give away a brand new program, but
but that's I think
broke the rule.
I think that's great advice, and again too, that's not. There's never never answered.
I just know myself, and if I have a layoff, it messes with my head to do exercises that I traditionally do and I'm good at, and so I purposely will do stuff I never do because then I don't have a frame of reference.
Program to bring yourself back, though.
Oh yeah,
like that's. I was just thinking about that.
But I swear to God, man, I used to get clients like this all the time. Like, in order for them to stay motivated, they had to sign up for a marathon.
This will be his Achilles heel.
Totally,
his Achilles heel will be and it's tough to get somebody out of this mindset because it served them so well for most of their life.
Yeah, because on the surface it doesn't look bad.
Yeah,
right. But it can turn into this dysfunctional.
And I bet he's had a lot of wins in life by applying this mindset.
Yes.
And that's why it took me a long time to get out of it. Who's going to tell me like this is how I do it? Grind, get after it, compete with myself, compete with others. Like that's always elevated me, but. At one point, like that's why I asked his age. Sooner or later,
it doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah, sooner or later it catches up, and there's always going to be somebody else that's stronger or faster than you. And if that is the way you look at your training all the time, you'll eventually break down. And
you'll either quit or just get hurt all the time.
You got to switch the mindset and start to attach it. And what that looks like is ignoring the things that you traditionally look at and focusing more on the things that most people actually don't think about from lifting. Like I said, your relationship, the way you communicate. I mean, I even noticed things that I've shared on the podcast. It's so stupid. I'm a better husband at home when I work out because I come home and because I lifted, I feel active and want to move. And so I go right into cleaning the house and supporting Katrina.
So now when you work out, you know that.
Yes,
you think of that.
I do.
Yep.
And I recognize that, oh, wow. Because there's been times when I'm feeling sluggish and not helping out around the house. And then what does that do? It causes friction between her and I because I'm not supporting her. And it's like, wow. So my workout isn't just about me getting stronger or looking better all the time. Sometimes it's also being about better partners. So learn to make the connections to all those other things. I try to
tell that to my wife. I'm like, if I didn't work out, let me tell you, however annoying I am now, way worse. So you should be very happy that I work out every single day.